Greetings! And we're back to that fight that was spoiled by the previous rewards. Also, I have the
and we've got uh, gear.
yes. This gear piece for the headpiece, you actually need a Rathalos plate, and this is what I use my Rathalos plates for. Ha oh. It's actually, if you can get a hold of the Rathalos plate, it's pretty decent early game fencing gear, but I guess it just really depends on if you can get the Rathalos plate before you can get the, what are they called? It's this armor that I'm thinking of. It's the Death Stench armor. If you can get a hold of Sinister Cloths, and you need lots of them, but if you can get a hold of those before you can get a hold of the Rathalos plate, then you might want to consider getting this one instead, just because it's easier to make, and you don't have to waste a Rathalos plate. You don't get as many different kinds of stats, but you know, like if you're wearing an ESP armor, you're going because you want to be ESP, or fencing, as it's also called. For those of you who do not know what ESP and fencing does, I have said this several times, but I will say it once more. You will negate all bouncing off of a monster. Like, you just don't bounce, no matter how tough their hide is. So if you're having bouncing trouble, you know, might want to consider getting yourself some fancy ESP gear. And they all want to talk to me. All of them.
And it sounds like my guests have arrived.
Yeah, there is a dog doing commentary in the background. I appreciate the efforts, dog.
Actually, it's two dogs.
Ah, two dogs. Well, at least mine here aren't going berserk anymore like earlier. They are also small dogs. They are pugs.
Maltese Chihuahua.
Ooh. Yeah, okay, that's a little bit more high-pitched bark. I'm still not a fan of, like, small dogs. I'm just, like, you can hurt them really easily, and I would feel horrible if I accidentally hurt a dog, or a cat, or a person, or... I'm just a big baby, okay? Ah, so what?
It's alright.
I'm shaking my fist at you, internet, for making fun of me, for whoever did that. I'm just gonna toss that Elder Thank You away because it's filling my inventory. I'm gonna need every space I can get. A giant dragon invades. And it's another fort fight. This is the second fort map there is in the game. So we're gonna see that. You can also, the next Shen Goran fight, which will be in high rank, will be in this area, and that is where he can actually do some attacks against you with his spits. But for now, we have Lao Shen Lung.
Oh boy. The walking mountain, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much, actually. He is massive and huge and red. The red color comes from the iron in the mountains or something like that. It tints his scales red. And if he's near a volcano, the volcanic belt, then it tints it sort of like blue-gray color.
Yeah, there's a variation, but that's basically, I believe it's called Ashen.
Yeah, it's Ashen, but the parts you get are called Asian. You know how there's like these, they call the color blue-gray, but it's like a grayish colored Russian breed of cats? House cats?
Yeah, the Russian blues?
Yeah, Russian blues, but it's really a gray color, but I think it's more along those lines.
Yeah.
Why did they even call it a blue? Gray.
Maybe.
I'm sure there's like a good reason behind it at all, and like, and I'll probably get a history lesson from someone like, oh well, the Russian Tsar and stuff, which might be interesting to hear, but I don't think this is the place for it.
This is SA.
Yeah.
So.
Well, luckily my thread is kind of going in under the radar, and our people are just kind of lurking, so so I don't have like people who just completely raging at me for saying one thing wrong, like some people have. Anyway, the meaning of Lao Shan Lung means Old Mountain Dragon or Great Mountain Dragon, depending on which translation you prefer. I just thought I'd just throw that out because, well, you did the Shengoran, and I figured I'd just do this one. And as you can see, the map is a bit bigger. Now, there's actually a little gimmick to this one. Shengoran and Lao Shan Lung, as they wander along 2, 3, and 4, no matter how much damage and overkill you bring, you cannot kill them in those areas. They will always remain at, I think, like 1 point of health at all times until they reach 5. Then you can kill them.
And I believe the fortress rule also applies here.
Yep.
Here,
but
where
the fortress
you will lose if the fortress gets damaged too much.
Yeah, the fortress is in 5 though.
Okay.
So it's a long trip, ladies and gentlemen. He's not a fast customer. In fact, he takes a while to get there. Why I'm saying that you can't kill him in 2, 3, and 4 is if you decide one day just to bring G-rank weapons and just go overkill with damage and destruction and death, you can actually... I've heard of people flinching him like crazy. He's being constantly flinched every other second. He never left the blue areas on the map. And then the time ran out, and then they're pissed that they didn't get a kill on him, and they couldn't understand why. So,
there he is.
Yeah, he is very slow. You'll have to excuse him.
Well, he is massive, so you kind of have to expect him to be slow.
Well, yeah.
I'm worried if he's massive and fast.
Well, he does get enraged and he speeds up a little, but that's about it. And the tactic here is to plant bombs where he's going to wander and just be patient.
Up his face.
Yep. Let's see, there are... Let's see, 1, 2, 4... I think there's 5 breakable parts, yeah. 2 parts that can be broken on the head. One, the horn, which I broke there. Another part is like the scales breaking on the top of his head. And I will admit the gun lance is not that great of a weapon to bring to this fight. Actually, in my opinion, the best weapon to bring to this fight is the longsword, which I'll explain later. The lance ain't too bad.
Classic dragon fighting weapons.
Well, I'm just thinking because you can do the diagonal poke and backwards jumps, chain them together. This one I can do one backwards jump at a time and gun him, or stab behind my shield. But anyway, like there's a second break on the head, which is just like a scale break. The scales will get scarred. And there's a back.
I know you can carve his back, I believe.
Yeah, actually you can. But you can also
have to climb on top of him to do that. And if I recall correctly.
That is correct. But you can also break his back for a break there. And his 2 front shoulders can be broken, but you have to use a ranged weapon like a bowgun or a bow to do that.
So those will not be broken in this.
No, that will most likely be multiplayer.
Okay.
For multiplayer, I will probably just... Honestly, since you can't kill him in 2, 3, and 4, multiplayer, I'll probably bring something overkill just so we can get the kill. I know it's kind of cheating, but honestly, there's not much cheating behind Lao Shen.
Multiplayer. You'd be hard pressed not to overkill something in that. There's no such thing as overkill in multiplayer. Honestly.
Well, there is. There was that one video where Imald had brought special weapons, and like 2-shot killed Kelby Drome. Outside
of basically breaking the game.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as overkill.
But this fort fight in particular, you just can't overkill it because you will minimum... Yeah, let's just say you did bring overkill. There is a minimum of like 20 minutes till he reaches Area 5. Something like that. 20 to 30... Not 20. Yeah, 20 to 25 minutes about it takes him to reach there, depending on how well you do. The longer time it takes to reach there, the better, of course. But that's like the general estimate, so like it's a minimum of like a 20-25 minute fight. So like if I could just shave off like 5 minutes of that would be good. Also, another thing that you might want to bring is Farcasters, and lots of them. Just because it'll make your life a heck of a lot easier just getting around. So you don't have to run all the way back, then... Because you cannot go... You see on the map where there's like purple areas? Well, for those of you who don't know, you can't go into those purple areas. If you want to go to Area 3 from Area 2, you have to go back to camp and then to Area 3. And then you have to stand there and wait for Lao Shenlong. But if you toss a Farcaster out, you can get there a little earlier and have a little time to repair your weapons, whatnot.
And he's kind of annoyed of a bridge.
No, it's because I'm standing up here and he tried to take a swipe at me. But I got out of the way because I'm not going to get hit by that. But I'm doing this for a very special reason. This anti-dragon bomb that they give you deals a lot of damage. And the goal is to jump on top of his back and plant it. Maybe get a carve or two while I'm up there. But I will admit the carves are not that great. It's usually just account point items and some scales.
I heard you could get bones at...
Oh yeah, you can get Elder Dragon bones too now that I think about it. But at this point of the game, if you've been fighting all the other Elder Dragons, you're not hurting for it.
And an herb.
That's the account item.
Ow.
Yeah, well, at least the anti-dragon bomb does not deal damage to you, so there's always that. And...
Yeah, at least the bombs don't actually hurt you.
Well, normal bombs will hurt you, but not the anti-dragon. I guess because it's anti-dragon. But once you've planted the bomb, it will always go off after a specific amount of time. Normally you'll just want to plant it straight away, maybe get 1 or 2 carbs as you can, just because I think eventually he'll shake you off his back, and then you just wasted your time. If you're looking for a good body part to flinch, the head is a pretty decent place to attack. I think it only takes about 400 or 600 points of health and damage to flinch the head, whereas it takes up to 1,000 points of damage or 600 points of damage. Some of the parts even take like 1,200 points of damage to flinch. And you want to get as many flinches in as you can. This is why you bring Farcasters. Maxing your damage. Grabbing those delicious free rations. I say delicious, but I really mean disgusting.
They're Russin rations, aren't they?
I'm probably thinking more in the lines of that there's probably some hardtack in there. And some old stale jerky. Maybe some dried fruit, some nasty shit. Dried fruit's not too bad, though. It actually tastes pretty good.
I was making a Metal Gear Solid 3 joke there.
Oh, well, that was
Snake
straight over the
hates
head.
rations in that game.
Remember, this is a sneaking mission.
This is a hunting mission. What are you talking about?
I wouldn't really call this much of a hunt, considering I'm just waiting for Lao Shenlong to slowly waddle along.
Well, you can't really call it sneaking mission because
Well,
he doesn't really care if you're there or not.
that is very true. I'm stealthily stabbing him and he's ignoring me. I guess to give a little bit more tidbit info of I guess, Lao Shenlong. Supposedly, if you break his horn, the horn is the way you check to see how old the Lao Shenlong is. I guess it's like trees and there's like rings in the horn, maybe? Actually, that would kind of make sense because the way that they feed is a sort of osmosis in a sense, where they just absorb particles in the air around the volcanoes and so forth, and that is also in like the mountains and so forth. So that's kind of what is what makes them grow and what's it called tints their shell. So I guess then if that's what makes them grow, then I could see it as it layers itself. So then there would actually be rings. But I know that the gunning Lao Shenlong is like the most pathetic thing you can do. So I'm just sticking to gunning the head so I can get as many flinches in as possible. Shengoran I think he's also weak to fire, but you know, if you could bring Dragon Element, that's a good thing to bring. Lao Shenlong is weak towards Dragon. He's a giant dragon, so yeah.
Obviously.
Well, he's an Elder Dragon, so like all the Elder Dragons, except for maybe what's his face? Kirin is weak to Dragon. At least in this game, as far as I'm concerned, at least. But like, what you generally want to do is, say, bring a longsword with Dragon Element and then aim for that pot belly all the way in the back near his tail. That's like pretty much the weakest part of his entire body and the part that's weakest to Dragon Element. You can just wail on that part of his body with impunity. It's kind of pathetic, actually. And that's just basically, if you're using longsword, that's the entire fight. You just look at his stomach all day long and just wail on it and try to make sure you don't get caught up between his tail or legs. It's not that exciting, actually, but it is the best way to fight him, in my opinion. There's probably people who have found better ways to fight him. For beginner people doing this the first time, I can highly recommend that if you have a Dragon Element longsword. And the only way you can, by the way, get the Dragon Element longsword early without having to fight Lao Shenlong is fight some more Shengoran. That Lao Shenlong horn that I got off of him, those are the things you need to make the longsword. I think you need like 2 or 3 of them.
I need to smash something.
Yeah, there's a little barricade in the way. But that's not the fort, so the fort isn't taking damage. Don't ask me why I decided. I wonder if this'll work. Because it's not going to work. It was an interesting idea. Also, remember to make your Farcasters ahead of time. Not that I got hit or anything, but I just got stunned. Wow.
Bye!
But if you're going for a kill, and you're single player, you're going to be needing massive amounts of damage. And for that, you need to bring a Dragon Element weapon, preferably the longsword. And you're going to want to bring Farcasters, items to make more Farcasters, and just plan everything ahead of time, because you have so little time to do so much damage. And usually, I've actually... The funny thing is, I was farming for the Lao Shen Lung parts, and I did this fight, and then I did the next fight with like the first upgrade of the Lao Shen Lung longsword, because you need more Lao Shen Lung parts to upgrade it to the next stage. Luckily, it's just this fight again. So you can do it right away, and I suggest doing it right away because you'll get more sharpness out of it and more damage and whatnot. But I actually managed to kill him second time around. So, like, if you bring a pretty decent weapon for the fight, and you plan everything out, you can actually manage to get a kill.
As long as you actually allow him to get to 5.
Well, if you bring a decent enough weapon, as in, like, I don't know, like a just decent weapon, and you do pretty well and have everything planned out, he will make it to 5. It's just if you bring something overkill and aim for the head only, he will, and you're fighting a low rank one, of course. Or you're using hack weapons. Some people do that. Then, yeah, you're just gonna be standing in like 2 or 3 and do nothing all day while he stands stun locked. Also, another warning. You can be screwed over when killing Lao Shen Lung. His model is massive and huge, and occasionally...
So he can accidentally crush you.
No. He, here's how his carves work. There's 2 spots you can carve. There is his sort of like the lower half of his body and the upper half of his body. And I think you get like 8 or 9 carves all together. His body is so huge, when he's in Area 5, when he tries to turn, half of his model will stick through the mountain cliff. So if he dies there, you're screwed out of half of the carves.
Oh boy.
I've had that happen to me a couple times.
Oh boy.
I haven't done anything recently, but... Oh man, I was like, yeah, I killed him, yeah! Oh, wait. Fucking game. Oh, and I promptly did it again right after. And then I was like, no, screw it. I got the horns that I need. I'm not even gonna attempt to kill him anymore. Screw it. That was in my my second game file. I've had a lot of exciting experiences in my second game file, apparently, where it gets screwed over so badly, and I kind of wish I had it on video just because it's bullshit. Pardon my French, but I kind of have to swear at that. I don't like to swear too much. Like, you spend a 35-minute long fight fighting this guy, and he decides to say, no, you can't get any cars.
Oh hey, there's a ladder!
Yeah, that's if... so you can get up and plant more bombs. Well, providing you have more anti-dragon bombs, which you don't.
I thought I saw one.
No, I have regular large barrel bombs. Large barrel bomb pluses.
I thought I saw a second gray bomb.
I'm pretty sure that's... I mean, you only get one anti-dragon bomb per fight of these. So it's not an anti-Dragon Bomb. It's probably just because you can only have 2 large barrel bomb types planted out at one time. So if you have them all planted out, the rest will just gray out.
Oh.
So it might have been that.
Okay, that might be.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to kill him with the gun lance. I was kind of hoping that maybe, you know, like through some bullshit luck, I could actually, you know, like I'm still a normal rank. Oh, maybe the gun lance will be good with no. This is. We're pretty much at the point of the game where the gun lance is starting.
Useless.
Not useless, but it's starting to go downhill. Like 6-star, certain monster fights, it's pretty decent. But
7-star, no.
like something against Shengoran or Lao Shan Lung, like you get to those fights, and it's really just going downhill. Also with Teostra as well, like it's starting to go sour.
Things start to go south about this point.
Yeah, and then we get to the 7-star. Just only gun when you need to reset your combo because it's quicker than doing a back hop. And plus you're dealing damage too at the same time. Granted, it's not that much damage, but hey, any damage helps. But just don't go with a gunning setup. I've actually tried that just out of curiosity. Just, you know, timing it. Like, how much time do I spend gunning it with a gunning setup compared to, oh, say, stabbing it without a gunning setup and just raw damage setup? Like, Rathalos armor. It took me about, like, 10 to 15 minutes more. I'm not kidding, like... If I stabbed the monster, like a high-rank Gypsaros, I think it was. I stabbed him, and I stabbed him, and I stabbed him, and I took him down. And
the rubber duck.
I took him about down, Mr. Rubber Duck, yes, down in 50 minutes. I was getting close to 35 minutes when I was going for a gunning set. That's how bad.
And your suit is.
Yeah, I decided why not fire his pot belly a little bit. Hey, I flinched him, I knocked him down. Oh, that's another thing too, if you are using the tactic where you're using a longsword or a lance and it's dragon element and you're just wailing on his pot belly. When he flinches, he drops down and crushes you. It doesn't deal much damage, but it'll toss you to the side and can kind of screw you off. Oh, and this is my favorite part of the... Because you're carrying this freaking cannonball. And there are unlimited Aya Praise. You can stand here and kill them the entire mission. They won't stop coming. So, but usually they will knock me over and I will scream, cuss, and curse. I get so pissed at them because every single freaking time. I just got lucky, that's all.
Goddamn Aya Pray!
Yeah, jerks. And it doesn't even help you if you're playing multiplayer because everybody's got kind of their own version of the game running and they'll probably go for all the different players. Or something like that. So, but now we play the waiting game. Now we finally get to use the cannons.
We're gonna shoot him in the face!
Well, actually I'm kind of aiming more for the back because of what the back break.
Okay.
But it's kind of hard to judge with the distance with the cannon. How it works is, oh, and the Monster Hunter theme will now flare up. The Monster Hunter theme and the Lao Shan Lung theme are pretty much the same. It's still a pretty cool piece of music. I like it. But how the cannon works is you carry a cannonball, and I think it's... I can't remember if it's square or circle. This screws me over sometimes because once in a while I forget. I'm like, no, wait, is it square? No, it's circle. Oh shit, which one is it? Well, I'm gonna do a gamble, and then I accidentally drop the. No, it isn't circle now that I recall, because that'll just make you duck and let go of it. So it's square. But basically, you just drop the cannonball into the cannon, and then it just fires at a certain length. So you just have to. Well, you have to eye it. And the ballista, it fires in an arc, so when you're firing at Lao Shanlung from a distance, you kind of have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's the same way with the multiplayer Elder Dragon.
Well, I'm pretty sure that they're using the same piece of coding for the ballista.
Similar music for that fight as well, if I recall correctly.
I don't know. I'll have to listen to that music again. I don't recall what it was. I'm just checking to see if there's more ballistas. There aren't. If you're quick, you can get a second cannonball in his face in single player. And this is kind of vital if you're going for the kill. And again, this is provided that bullshit doesn't happen in Aya Prey. Oh. Well, what's your bet? Do I make it?
I think you can make it.
I think I can make it? Like, you're not sure they'll knock me over the last second? No, you're right. And bam! Into the face. And I think, with Lao Shanlung in particular, I've read if you time it just right, the Dragnator will hit twice. But it's like, they mentioned don't even try to aim for doing that, because it's just something that happens if you're lucky.
Yeah, but try...
There we go.
The Sand Whale Dragon is the same way.
Now you're spoiling it.
Well, I didn't say his name.
No, but you kind of like spoiled the gimmick of it, huh? But, well, whatever. People will probably have either played the game or looked it up already. But, I don't want to give too much away still.
Yeah.
But I did get the back break. And there he goes pounding on the wall. I'm kind of waiting for him to stand up on his hind legs, so I can get him with a Dragnator. However you pronounce it. I are bad at pronounce.
Gojira!
No, Kojima isn't allowed in my Let's Play threads. Not after I had a breakup.
No, not Kojima. Gojira.
It's making a horrible joke. That's probably going to piss off a lot of people. Well, probably pissing off people because I'm using a gun lance to allow Shenlong fight.
Yeah, making a Godzilla joke is nothing compared to that.
I honestly haven't really seen many of the Godzilla movies, and no, I'm not talking about the freaking remake. Ugh, wow, that's bad. I kind of regret having seen it.
Blast! Boom!
Also, something to take note of, I don't know if people have noticed yet, no Ca. When doing fortress defense fights, you don't have your Ca. So you're on your own. Granted, I can kind of understand that the cat doesn't want to be stepped on. Granted, I run the same risk of being stepped on. Lao Shanlung is very passive. He doesn't really attack you The only thing he can accidentally hit you with is if you're standing in the way of his tail or his feet, which will hurt a lot. But once you learn not to stand in front of his
he doesn't actively attack you.
The only time he, let's just say you're doing things right, avoiding his tail, avoiding his feet, the only time he'll really ever hit you with proper attacks that hurt a lot is probably when you're standing under him or in front of him and he does his sort of shoulder slam into whatever he's trying to break. But it's not you he's aiming for, he's just trying to... when you think about it, we're just being jerks. Here Lao Shenlong's just trying to get somewhere, he's just going for a stroll. And here we have these fortifications in the way, and we're just shooting at him, and he's trying to get away from us. So we're kind of jerks. Also, if people have noticed, he's starting to turn in an angle. This is what I'm talking about, like, he slowly starts to turn in an angle more and more and more. And eventually he'll be at a point that he's in such an awkward angle, and then you kill him, and then, like, you'll be screwed out of half the cards. It's rather bothersome. Also, his roars are really annoying, especially if you're a longsword user. Because you will be in the middle of a spirit combo, and after the first attack or two, he'll roar, and then you'll have wasted some spirit, and then he'll roar again, keeping you stunned, and then he'll roar again, and again, and again, and again. At least in my experience, because he hates me. And then your spirit will start going down, and then you have to build it up again.
Oh boy.
Also, when he's standing on his hind legs, which is what he does most of the time during this part of the fight, he basically most of your attacks will hit the tail and not the pot belly, and you will bounce all the time. So you can barely get your spirit all the way up if it starts to go down. Well, you can still do it pretty easily, but it's easier. Excuse me. It's easier to do while he's in the blue areas of the map.
I think it plays the Monster Hunter theme when you've given him enough damage that he'll run away.
No, the Monster Hunter theme... No, it has nothing to do with doing enough damage. You just have to keep him away from the fort. It's just in Area 5, it plays the music when the monster shows up.
I remember that being the case for the other...
Yeah, the other fight, but that's just because it's... Well, we'll talk about that. Once the commentary.
We'll talk about that when it's actually relevant.
Yeah, and like outside the commentary. I was about to explain in greater detail how it works, but I'm like, no. Funny how I've never actually done that one fight, but yet I've done tons of research on it.
I've done that fight quite a bit.
Yeah, don't people farm it a lot for bits and parts that they need for armor and weapons?
Yeah. I did it for a weapon.
Ooh. I'm guessing there's some really annoying low percent drops that you needed.
Actually, not really. I got one of the important things very early on. I was just trying to get fangs, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, those are very easy drop, from what I understand.
Oh. It'll be interesting when I get to it, at least. I'm kind of interested to get to try. But, it'll be one of those things where when I get to it, I get to it.
Yeah.
It'll probably be in its own thread now that,
yeah.
Because of the space issues. I thought I had taken enough space, but I don't know. It's not a bad idea that it goes to its own thread, too, because Freedom and Freedom Unite, they're pretty much more or less the same game. Just Freedom Unite is so much better. And plus, they're both the PSP. And Tri's for the Wii,
And it's also third generation.
and plus they updated the graphic engine, bigger models, more details, new monsters. They basically rebooted the series more or less. But
Oh, and he's running away.
yeah. Don't you come back here. I'll kill you next time. Actually, I did kill him the second time. With these sort of fort fights, they do not retain the damage that they took in the fights. The fort fight dragons are the only ones who don't do that.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
You have to kill them in one go.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's the same. It's the same with the other Elder Dragon fight as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be that way too, I think. But interesting note just for you, you can actually kill him while he's running away. I actually saw a video where somebody killed him the second he started running, and then they got the victory music instead. But they couldn't get the cards because he ran out of range. And rust stones. I should probably explain about those one of these videos. I've been meaning to do that. Because you can mine them in the volcanic belt. And now, probably what I'll do is... one of these videos, it'll probably be late. I'll figure something out. We will see you in the next video now that I noticed that the time's running out.